Hi everyone, this is Julie Bruns. Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. I want you to thrive and be happy, peaceful, and content, no matter where you are on your journey. This podcast shares stories that will show you how it can be done, no matter what your circumstances. You'll be inspired and come away with a new spark of an idea. Never forget, anything is possible. New episodes are released every Wednesday. Subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. This helps others find our content and get happier sooner. To possibility and beyond. So welcome to this episode, you guys. I'm here with my guest, Teela Cunningham. And Teela and I, we've never spoken before, but I came across your work on your website. So every-tuesday.com, every-tuesday.com. I came across it. It's been months. So it's the beginning of the year. I want to say January, February. And I remember reaching out to you saying like, looks like you love what you do, or your name was on it somewhere. And I think it came to me through like someone else's podcast or newsletter or website or something. And I came across it and I'm like, I want to get her on my podcast. So I'm excited to learn more about what you do and how you figured it out. So that's why you're here today. So thanks.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So let's start with the first question, which is always, what do you do? How did you figure out what you're doing? And how did you discover it? Like growing up, were you always like, I want to have this job later? Or were you just did you fall into what you're doing now? So start with what you're doing and how you figured it out.
Sure. So when I was young, I vividly remember when my best friends in first grade asking me what I wanted to be when I grew up. And without hesitation, I said an artist. And I've always reflected back to that moment because that's your like most innocent stage. Mm-hmm. And without really realizing any stigmas attached to being an artist, I just knew deep down, like that is what I wanted to do. So I never lost that. But when you get older and you learn about those stigmas, you start considering other options. And my mom was a high school English teacher, and I looked up to her my whole life. So I considered being a teacher, not necessarily an art teacher, but I loved math, so I was considering being a math teacher. And then I actually considered being a pharmacist at one point too. I even interned at a couple pharmacies and I toured a few pharmacy colleges. And then I was on the bowling team in high school, and my bowling coach knew that I loved art and finally just said, like, there's a great design program at a local community college. If that's where your heart is, that's what you should do. And that was the push that I really needed, like the permission that it was okay to pursue that. Yes. So that's what I ended up doing. So I was very fortunate. I got a full scholarship for the 2-year program to the local community school. I graduated and then got a scholarship to the Savannah College of Art and Design and finished my Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in graphic design in 2008. And then I started working at I worked as an in-house designer and I worked in a design studio. So I worked on one company's specific needs, and then I worked in that studio environment where I got to work on a bunch of different businesses. And the studio job was the last job that I held before going out on my own. And I was just I enjoyed it at the beginning, but my creative director and I did not meet aesthetically. I'm not sure he really loved my style, but I knew production really well, so I could prepare files. So I was stuck doing production quite a bit, and it was fine. And I learned a lot, and I know how to prepare files for any type of client, but I was not designing the work that I wanted to design. And when there was design work, like he put me on a project designing catheter stuff for an entire year. And that led to like a downward spiral of being depressed, questioning what I was doing, and just trying to find myself, figure out what I wanted from my life, because I was so unhappy in that. And like, I loved working on different client work, but my creative director was not giving me the opportunities I was asking for. And I always knew deep down that I really wanted to start my own thing, but I wasn't sure what that was. So I would help other designers at the studio when they would have questions about the program. They would come to me because I was in production and I was always preparing things. And I would say, oh, this is how you do that. And one of my fellow designers said, Teela, you just need to make a video so I don't have to keep bugging you, because I feel like I keep asking you the same thing. Right. So I told my boyfriend then, now husband, about what she had said. And that Christmas, he bought me my first USB mic to encourage me to just put something on YouTube, just see what happens. Because I think that's where the dots started connecting with my mom teaching and me thinking about being a teacher, and then loving art at the same time. So in January of 2014, I recorded my first YouTube tutorial. I put it online and waited to see what would happen. And it went really well. I was getting such kind responses. So all of the like negative feelings that I dealt with during the day at my day job, when I'd come home and work on my side hustle with just creating free tutorials for people, not even like trying to make any money off of it. I just wanted to feel fulfilled, you know, or like someone to look at my style and be like, I love your style. You have a style.
Right. Yeah.
And that it's appreciated, you know, like I just
yeah.
wanted to feel like the work that I was doing was appreciated by someone in the world.
Right.
And it started taking off. So I just started doing it every week. And that's where Every Tuesday was born. I started my website. I started creating blog posts with the videos in them. And then my YouTube channel grew and grew. And then I switched to courses after that, like a year after that. And then the courses started doing really well. I was creating digital products around my tutorials. And then, so in the fall of 2015, my husband and I were both able to quit that studio job, because that's where I had met him, was at the studio.
Okay.
So we quit and we've been full-time ever since. And I'm still posting every single Tuesday a free tutorial.
So what are the tutorials on? What are you teaching people about?
Right. So I first started teaching on Adobe Illustrator because that's my specialty on like desktop, laptop. And then because that was before the iPad ever existed.
Okay.
And once the iPad came out, because I love hand lettering as well as just design work. So the iPad allowed me to draw directly on screen. So I was saving a lot of art supplies and I was working in a medium that I was already comfortable in. And with Procreate, the app on the iPad that's similar to Photoshop, I felt right at home because I already knew Photoshop really well. And now I could do my hand lettering, I could do my design work in a program just like Photoshop. So then I switched over to teaching Procreate tutorials. And that's what I've been doing for, I want to say almost 3 years now, is focusing entirely on Procreate tutorials.
Okay, so it's crazy that number one, like you're in first grade, and that's a normal first grade question. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
I just ask each other, but no one realizes what a profound question that is. How would you know at that age? But some people do know, just as you're illustrating. But what's funny to me is that you were like, okay, teaching. Your mom was a teacher, that was appealing with, and you're like, okay, math. And usually people that are super creative aren't.
I know, it didn't make sense at all.
You know, you're like, okay, math. And pharmacy, I'm going to try this and try that. Everything away from the creative side, you kept going away from it. And then you'd get there and realize, okay, I don't like it, because this is a good lesson for people that are trying to figure it out, that are younger. Like, you keep going away from the thing that keeps calling you. You're not going to find more of what's calling you. You're going to find less. You're
so true.
Yeah. The roadblock. You're like, wait, none of that's aligned to what I keep getting drawn to. Which is interesting. So you probably could have saved yourself a little. I'm not saying this is not a critique. This is just like a good lesson.
I'm so glad that I went to school for my true passion. You know, I think about, what if I started college as like, what if I went to pharmacy college? Because that's like a 5-6 year program.
Insanely
just to end up hating
it
in the end. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine all the time I could have wasted, you know?
Yes. And to have those two people, like to have your husband encouraging you to go do the thing you want, and then to have that teacher say, you know, wait a second, if you're, obviously he or she was it that said
she,
yeah, she saw something in you, could tell that what you were drawn to and that you were good at it. And like, there's this program for people that like what you are good at, what you're doing, you should go do it. Like, thank goodness for people. Like, teaching is underrated, because it's any little comment, you know, you could just say the right thing at the right time and it's going to change someone's life.
Yeah, it sticks with you.
Yes, it's the best. I'm glad you had that guidance, because you could have faltered and gone, wouldn't have been the end of the world for you. It just would have taken you longer to get where you are now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Fascinating. Okay, so when you were doing all that, so you're at your job every day that you kind of like, and then it ends up being not what you want, which I've been there, it happens. And then you came home every day and started working on the thing that was fulfilling you, just so you could kind of get by. What was keeping you like sane at your day job and knowing that that wasn't what you were meant to be doing? Was it having the thing to look forward to at the end of the day? What else was keeping you happy and peaceful so that you could go do the extra stuff?
I kind of felt after a while at my day job, it was rinse and repeat. Like I didn't have to think or try too hard because like production is very process driven. Like certain things need to happen. I don't have to be super creative. I just need to prepare the file and make sure it's set up properly. Right. So I didn't have to think too hard with that. So while I was at my day job, I would have a podcast, a business podcast or an online marketing podcast playing in my ear while I worked. And then during my lunch break, I would be reading different online marketing blogs, just absorbing as much information as I could, because I knew deep down that I had the skills because I had worked so hard to develop those skills. But I knew that if I ever wanted to go out on my own, something they don't teach you in design school, how to market yourself. I mean, we get a little, 101 course on freelancing, but I didn't want to be a freelancer. Right. And I knew that if I was going to make a career out of this or have my own business, I needed to know how to get the word out, how to market myself. So early on, I think it was just like a gut thing. Like I just knew online marketing, I have to learn everything I can about it. So and then I would leave the day job and on my way home, I would listen to marketing podcasts. Okay. So it was like round the clock. And then when I get home, I would eat, walk the dog, and then work on the next tutorial or design. So I was like going straight into my own design work once I got home.
Yeah. You did a couple of good things there. Obviously, you're feeding your intellect and learning about the thing that you want to learn about so that you can get to the next level, and then taking those rote tasks. Because I've been in that position before where you may have been creating something, but then you're not creating anymore, and you could do kind of with your eyes closed. So having that, all right, I'll just do this on the side. I can still do this and do it well. I'm getting paid to do this work. I'll do that, and then I'll learn something in between. And read and whatever it needs to be for you. Some people read, some people listen to podcasts, but that was super smart. So you're continuing to grow instead of just saying like, woe is me sitting at that crappy job or whatever it was, not even a crappy job, but you didn't want to be there. Instead of just thinking, what else can I do? And I want to get out of it. You were planning what to do. You were doing the thing that you wanted to do to get out of it. So smart. And not everyone necessarily thinks they'll have, it almost seems like two jobs at the same time, but if you want to get out of it, the more you can do what you described, the quicker you'll be able to get out of it.
Exactly. And there's so many hours, those 8 hours that I'm sitting in that little desk space, I'm like, what can I do to take advantage of this time? Because I feel like I'm wasting so much time where I could be working on my own thing. So it's just trying to like sneak in, have it in my ear, nobody knows that I'm still getting all of my tasks done for the day. No one can be upset about that. That's my own business that I'm listening to these marketing gurus,
Yeah. Smart. Very, very smart. And then you also would think too, instead of just like reveling in, I know this isn't what I want, it's because you were doing the other things to get you out of it, there really isn't time to think negatively. It's just like, I'm doing this. And then when I get home, I'm doing this. And when I get up tomorrow, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to learn some more things. And you're staying in that higher vibration, that higher like mode of thinking and getting what you want instead of that negative, like, I don't like it. And the next day it's like another day and you get home, you're like, what? Then you don't have any energy to do the thing you want to do because you were thinking about negative crap all day long.
Exactly. Yeah. It gets so exciting too. Like it just builds and builds because once I would release a tutorial once a week, then I start, my lunch break, I'm reading all the comments on YouTube. I'm starting to get emails from people and all these people being so kind to me. Whereas at my job, I'm not given any of the opportunities that I'm asking for. And here it's like, give me more of what you have, it was totally different. So that was just like filling me up in all the ways that my day job was bringing me down. So I just focused on that feeling and trying to give people everything they were asking for because someone was actually asking me for things,
Right. So validating just to see that people are liking it. And like you said, and then asking for more, like, all right, you have this, now I need this. Can you help me with something else? And it's like, okay. And it's good for the ego, but it's just good for the soul because it's like this, okay, I wasn't wrong. I do have something to offer. Here's how I can do that.
Exactly.
And then it's giving you the possibility that you can do even more. So it's super smart. I'm glad that you did it. Did anyone teach you to be that way? Or were you just kind of like, I have to do something different to distract me so I can eventually do the thing I want to do? Somebody teach you that, or did you figure it out on your own?
I think that's kind of just the way that I am. I feel like for most things in my life, I've always had to work really hard. Like things didn't come super easy to me. When I'd have a test, it was hard. It was a lot of studying for me and preparing. When I went to art school, I remember walking into, like, drawing was a prerequisite and I didn't feel comfortable drawing at all, but I could design well, like on the computer, but fine art drawing, not my strong suit. And I remember walking into the drawing building, and in the stairwell, there's artwork from past students, and it's in a stairwell, and it blows me away. I feel like this is stuff that could be in a museum, and it's hanging in a stairwell. How am I even going to make it through college? Like I had a lot of doubt, but I was just like, you know what, I'm going to get this degree. This is where my passion is. I'm not going to school to be a fine art illustrator. I'm going to school to be a graphic designer. So I told myself that, and I worked my butt off just to get that B in that drawing class. So I think I've always like worked really hard. And when I get a little bit of success, I try to tack onto it and get to the next stage. So I think like that self-motivated attitude of, all right, this isn't working for me. What can I do to change it? I've always kind of had that mindset to try and, all right, I just need to work harder and then things will turn around. Like that's kind of always been my mindset.
It's super smart, and asking yourself, what can I do to change that? Knowing what your strengths are, knowing like you're gonna have to work a little bit harder, whatever it is. Being able to say, and it was so smart of you to say like, okay, I might not love this drawing class, but in order to get this degree, I have to take this class. Same thing happened to me when I had to take 2 accounting classes to get my marketing and economics degree, my undergrad. And I got a D. I almost failed the first accounting class. I'm like, I have to pass so I can get these 2 classes to get my degree. And then the second time, like, I'm going to have to do something different. This is not working. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't need to know accounting for the rest of my life. But so I found someone who was really good at accounting, a guy I went to high school with actually. And I said, you're getting an A and I never even see you studying. Can you just tutor me a little bit so I can at least get like a C?
Awesome.
But I got an A. I almost got like an A+ in the class because I had this guy helping me, and it came so easy to him. He's like, oh, just do this, just do that. I'm like, what? It's like, but I knew, same as you, I was just like, I figured it out. I'm like, I'm going to need to change something up if I'm going to be successful. I do not know what I'm doing. And if I have to waste time and take this class over, or my money, because I had to pay for everything, I'm like, this can't be. I have to change something up. So I'm so glad that you had that in you. A lot of people don't have that in them, or they don't have the right person saying like, well, what can you do differently? Not everyone has that. So
I grew up with 3 siblings, so I was very familiar with don't make excuses. So I think that was part of it is I don't want to make excuses for my situation. I need to figure out how I'm going to change my situation.
Yeah. And then people like that with the mindset that you're explaining they have success earlier because it's like, it's in your hands, whether it's going well or not going well, you can change it. Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. So what advice do you give and would you have for people that are searching for a meaningful career where they can use their strengths? Like you had said, like art's my strength, art's my passion, whether it's their strength or their passion, and they're trying to figure out what it's going to be. What do you tell them, or what would you say to them?
I would say, on your off hours, even if it's 1 hour every single week, it doesn't even have to be every day, but give yourself permission to explore your passions on your own without any pressure to make a living out of it, just to find enjoyment and joy. I think it's really important that we get so caught up in our daily routine and, things moving fast and being stressed that we lose sight of the things that really bring us happiness, and just to set aside a little bit of time that is ours every week, whether it's an hour or even if it can only be 20 minutes. It's so important to dedicate time every single week to where your passions are. And you have no idea where they're going to lead. I was fortunate. I hadn't started a family yet. I had a lot of time after I got home from work. Instead of vegging out and watching TV, I decided I was going to start creating the artwork that my boss wasn't allowing me to make at work. So I made it for myself. I made it for other people. And I had no idea that this was going to be my life now. But if I had never decided that I just need to, grow that skill set, or put myself out there, or just explore my passions beyond my day job, I never would have ended up here.
And I think what you said was you came home and created the art that your boss wouldn't let you create. You created what you were missing in your life.
Exactly.
And because you were creating what you were missing, you gave a gift to other people. And not everyone can see outside that box and that like, okay, I'm in this job and what can I do? There's nothing else I can do. I can't change my boss. That's not necessarily true, but there are definitely things you can do to change your situation. And when you're closed-minded like that, you're never going to come up with a different solution because you think you're doomed. This is how it has to be. It's not the case.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Is there anything you wish you'd learned sooner in your career or in your life?
I was thinking about this. So I had a couple of blogs. I tried having my own sketchbook company at one point, and those did not work out. And I had past blogs before this website. And what I realized is, and it's kind of funny because it's part of my name now, is consistency. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't realize how significant and important consistency is in everything.
Yes.
Once I decided, I'm going to post every single Tuesday. I don't care how tired I am. I don't care how stressful my life is. I have no excuse. I had a child and I was still posting, So no matter what's going on, I decided this was a promise I made to myself. I'm never going to let people down. On a Tuesday, I'm going to be a place that they will always be able to rely on. And that, I think, has made all the difference. It has kept our sales consistent. It has grown our audience significantly over the years. It has grown trust, relationships, just showing up when you say you're going to show up and delivering what you say you're going to deliver is so important to people and to yourself. I'm so proud that this is a promise that I have not broken with myself, and it's brought me immense joy in my life.
I love that. One of the things that I learned when I was same as you, I was listening to a lot of podcasts when I was starting my business and, what do I need to do? Online marketing, the same thing, even though I have a degree in it. I mean, my degree is over 20 years old. It doesn't even apply to how to market
different
now. Yeah. But same thing. They're like, whatever you do it consistently, whether it's one blog, one video, one anything, picture, do it consistently. And same as you, it'll be 2 years in September, and it's like every single Wednesday instead of Tuesday.
Awesome.
There's a video, there's a newsletter, there's a blog, there's a podcast, and I know that's probably overachieving, but I also knew that those things were going to build into the book that I was writing and all of that. So the consistency it seems like a simple thing. It seems like, okay, I can just do that, but anything
it's hard.
It is hard, and anything
Long-term.
worth having or you're going to see results needs to be consistent. You can't just work out every other week and see results. You can't just work out this Tuesday and then in 2 weeks on a Thursday and then a Friday 3 weeks from then. Inconsistently, it's not going to reap you any results or benefits. And it's the same thing with business, or even like you said, it builds trust and relationships. And it's like, here's what it is, and here's what I'm willing to do. And I think what you said too about it's your promise to yourself. So it's not even so much I'm delivering to these people that are expecting it. It's like, I told myself I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do it. And whatever comes of it, comes of it. But at least you can say, I never broke my promise. I have this thing I'm building and I'm going to be consistent. And you're right. There's a lot of pride you can take in that. I know I've been on the same journey. So kudos to you. And it's a simple like business lesson, but it's not one that's really taught. The successful people that I was listening to on those podcasts, they were successful because they were consistent. So I was like, okay, they have this already. This is what they did. I'm going to do that too. So
awesome.
Underrated. It's a
yes.
underappreciated like a skill or whatever. I don't know.
It's like the secret skill that it seems so basic when you think about it, but it's difficult, especially because, I'm posting every Tuesday. Not every Tuesday is going to be a tutorial that resonates as well as a tutorial I did 3 weeks ago.
Right.
I've been kinder to myself when I post on YouTube and I don't see it doing as well as past tutorials, but then I tell myself there's next week. I have other tutorial ideas coming up. I can't get down with the weeks that maybe don't resonate as much. So, but it's important no matter what's going on, keep doing it,
There's
because
still something there.
One of these next tutorials is going to resonate. Who knows, it may go viral. So you never know.
Yeah. And that person that maybe it's not necessarily all of it didn't get the exposure you wanted it to get, but if there's one person that it helped that day,
exactly,
it wasn't the numbers you wanted, it's still gratifying to say, I helped this one person today that I'll never meet them or whatever. Maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't, but somebody watched it and it was helpful, and that's cool.
Yep.
Okay, so final question for you: what's the greatest gift you give the world every day?
That is a big question.
I know, and it's hard for people to answer. And I just started doing that this year at the beginning of 2021 because it's nice to leave on a high note, and I want people to be able to brag about what they think is good about what the work they do or who they are.
Yeah,
So
I
this
think
is your
when
permission to brag.
I think when, everyone has different days and different experiences and they're going through different things at different times. I think it's important to always be kind, no matter how people talk to you, no matter the comments that are shared, no matter the emails that you receive, even the great ones, I think it's important to show up. I try to reply to every comment that I see. It's very, very difficult. I'm not always successful at it. But I try to be kind with everything I do and not get frustrated, even if I'm having a bad day. When I go into business mode, it's always be as kind as possible all the time. Like never let whatever's going on in my own life show through. So I think that's really important. Yeah, just always giving others the benefit of the doubt, no matter what their email says. Like today, I got an email from a woman that said, "Hi, Teela, I'm just following up on the email I sent you 2 weeks ago. Did you get a chance to look at it?" And I looked up her email and I had replied to it, but I guess it went to her spam folder. So I screenshot her because I'm like, I reply to every email within 48 hours. I pride myself with replying to everybody. So I screenshot her email and I said, "Hey, please see my response below. This is what I need and I can take care of it right away." And then she wrote me back the nicest email, apologizing, saying it was in her spam folder, and then thanking me for all of my offerings, telling me the things that she's purchased in the past and she can't wait for other things that I release. So, you never know. Maybe she was just having a bad day and it came out. But instead of getting defensive or dismissing her or putting it off for a few days and then responding to her. And then she thanked me for getting back to her so quickly and we got everything resolved. So yeah, it's just like an approach of kindness for everything.
Yeah. And if you hadn't done it that way, you never would have gotten that beautiful reply from her. If you were just said, I replied to you, see your email, see below. If you hadn't been done it in the spirit you did it in, she wouldn't have been able to come back and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and apologetic. And now she's complimentary. And now she's probably thinking even better things about you because she's like, "Oh my gosh, she did reply right away." And yeah, we've all been there. Mine go to spam sometimes too. I think it's my signature links or whatever, but I used to assume, why aren't people getting back to me? Or this, I'm like, and my husband used to say, you'd get a undelivered if it didn't go through. I'm like, not necessarily. It goes into their spam folder. It's just sitting there. Some emails I'll get, same thing. I don't think people are replying to me, and I'll see it in my spam folder. I'm like, oh no, it's been sitting here. So you don't know, but if you assume the worst, you're just going to get someone who's defensive, and then you don't have an opportunity to show that kindness, and it never ends up working out as well. So that's a great lesson. I love that.
Yeah,
love that gift. That's a good gift. Okay, so tell people how they can get a hold of you, what they can learn from you, and all of that. Promote anything you want to talk about.
Sure. So I release a brand new design, lettering, or illustration tutorial every single Tuesday over on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/everytues. So it's like every Tuesday without the day on it. Okay. And then I'm back to blogging recently. So because I finally hired an assistant, which I'm very excited about. So she's been incredible and I'm able to do more now than I was before. So every-tuesday.com is where I house all of my tutorials, all of my information, all of my digital products. I create custom brushes for Procreate, which is what I focus on teaching in. So those are available there. And then I also post every week over on my Instagram account, and my handle is Every Tuesday, all one word.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to check out some of the stuff you do, and I'm not illustrating, but I do have I used to take art classes and I draw and paint. I haven't in years, but I haven't gotten back into it because it's always about time and you're building something.
Well, digital art is where it's at. Like there's no mess. You just whip out the iPad and you can steal half an hour to doodle around.
Fascinating.
It's super fun.
My niece has been doing that on her phone and showing me stuff. She's 10 or something like that. But I'm like, this is just this is on your iPad, or I didn't know she's using Amazon. I don't even know what it is, but I'm like, you did that and you can do that with, yeah, look what's here and look what we have. And I'm like, it's crazy. So it'll be fun to like, to kind of get back to, I almost feel like I'm coloring, like
it's meditative,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's cool. So I'm going to check it out, and thanks for everything you're doing and for your gifts and for, I'm glad that you went for what you wanted to go for, and then you're building a life from it. That's very inspirational. And that's why I have this podcast, to show people that it can be done, and it doesn't need to take, you don't need to be a super famous person to be successful, and you can still have a good life and go after your dreams. So thanks for being more proof of that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Take care, everyone. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you love this content, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you found us on. You can get all my social media links in the description below. Help us keep the momentum going so that every person can live their lives happily, doing work they love.